there, it's Lykos, and welcome back to my channel. It is October. I haven't actually said that yet. What week? 3 weeks? 2 weeks into October? I don't remember. We're quite a bit into October, and I haven't actually done anything Halloween themed yet. I was gonna do SFX looks leading up to Halloween, but I'm actually a little bit short on latex at the moment, and I need all of what I've got for my actual look for what I'm doing for Halloween. So I've decided to not do that. I'm just gonna film the makeup I do for Halloween, which is gonna be quite a long video, so be ready for that. But I did want to do a Halloween or October themed video, and so I went online and I found a spooky Halloween tag questions list of 30 questions. I don't know if I'm gonna answer all of them, but we'll go through and see. To question number 1, favorite horror or Halloween themed song? I don't know if I've really got a particularly horror or Halloween themed song. I listen to a lot of songs that are based on, real life events that would be considered horrific, but I don't really know if I have a particular favorite song of them. Name something you wouldn't want to run into in a dark forest or in an abandoned building. A clown. I don't know if that scary clown thing is still going on. There's been random casual sightings once a month or once a year since the big one. But I'm not a fan of clowns, and that was I don't want to leave my house in case some stupid idiot on my street decides to be a clown. Clowns really creep me out. I've never liked them. So yeah, a clown would probably be the last thing I'd want to run into in a creepy forest, just because they're fucking creepy as they are, let alone the atmosphere in. Have you ever played with a Ouija board? I personally have not. I know people who have. It's not something I personally want to mess with. I'm just not all about messing with the whole spirit world thing. I don't see how that is even in the slightest a good idea. It would be a cool experience as long as it's done in a professional environment, with professionals. I think is the only way I'd ever do it. As for doing it myself, alone, no. Favorite horror monster or villain? I don't really have a favorite horror monster, because all of my classic favorite horror movies or thriller movies are, the classics like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and Friday the 13th. So I think my favorite one would have to be Freddy Krueger, and for thriller it would have to be Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs, because that's a brilliant movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Creepiest thing that's ever happened to you while you were alone? We have a really bad thing with my bins in my house. They open and close by themselves, and for a while we didn't know what it was, and then it turns out it was mice. We had a mouse problem for a while, and yeah, it was just mice climbing into the bin, and it was just opening and closing, and it was really creepy while we didn't know what it was, because yeah, that's not something you particularly want to be happening in your house while you're completely home alone. If you were dared to spend the night in a haunted house, would you do it? Yes, 100%. I have always wanted to. There is a haunted house in the South Island of New Zealand that I really want to go to with my friend, who also really wants to go, that they based a movie on. For the life of me, I can't remember the movie, but you actually have to go to the town, speak to a particular set of locals who will take you there, and you're not allowed to film going there because the publicity of everyone knowing where it is. So if you state why you're there and that you just want to explore it, you can get there. There was a particular YouTuber who did it, promised he wouldn't film anything getting there. And then they drop you there, and then they come back in the morning. And I think that's, one, horrifying to be left there completely alone, but I would love to do it, but I would have to do it with a friend, if I'm going to be left there completely alone with no way to get out. And so I would never, go to that alone, but I would love to explore an abandoned, haunted building. I'd do that by myself, as long as I had a point of contact, someone I could contact if something happened, and a way to get out of there, instantly. Are you superstitious? I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in the whole break a mirror and you have 7 years bad luck. None of that. I do believe in particular, bad omens, but nothing that is considered superstitious. Just, your general bad omens of stuff that you should be paying attention to if you believe in anything. Which urban legend scares you the most? There's not a particular urban legend that scares me. These days, I'm very difficult to scare horror-wise or creep-wise. Very few things scare me nowadays, but when I was about 11 or 12, the fucking Slenderman scared the shit out of me. Like, you have no idea how much that thing fucking terrified me. I have no idea why. It wasn't any particular reason it scared me. I just thought it was creepy. But then again, I found out about it on a school camp, having no knowledge of what creepypasta was. And we were in the middle of a field and we had to walk home or walk back to the camp area with one other person, no flashlights, while the teachers were yelling and trying to scare us. It was good fun, but one of the kids in the group decided to tell us what the Slender Man was right before we did it, and I swear everyone almost murdered him who didn't know what creepypasta was. Yeah, it freaked me out for a while. But yeah, as of now, nothing really scares me, urban legend-wise. Do you prefer gore or thrillers? I'm not a gore person. I don't mind gore, but if I'm gonna watch a good movie, I prefer thrilling events or bone-chilling psychological events over straight blood and gore. I find that to be much more scarier than just seeing someone being ripped open. So I'm gonna have to go with thriller on this one. Do you get scared easily? No. Enough said. Do you believe in demons or the devil? I've discussed this. I believe in I'm a pagan. I've talked about this on my Instagram. I am a Nordic pagan, so I don't believe in God, or the Christian God, so I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe in demons, necessarily. I do believe in spirits, so I believe that there is vengeful spirits, and malicious spirits, and good spirits, and things like that. But I don't believe in things like angels and demons and stuff like that, and the whole demonology thing is just, to me. I don't believe anything that is said about it, but I do believe that there is such thing as a vengeful spirit who is not a very particularly friendly and nice spirit, and that's where things like poltergeists come in. To learn more about that, I'd suggest doing your own research, because I don't particularly want to preach on what I believe in. On it. If you were trapped in one scary movie, which would you choose? I don't think it technically counts as a scary movie, but I love, like, Sleepy Hollow and the whole story behind that. I think that would be, like, a great movie to be in, and Johnny Depp too. But yeah, but as like proper horror movie, I'm gonna go with Silence of the Lambs, because that's psychological and I like it. And I think it would be an interesting environment to be in. Then if you died by Hannibal Lecter, that's a great thing to be talking about at the funeral, isn't it? Would you ever go to a graveyard at night? Hell yeah. I think I've done that before, actually. I like graveyards. Not because of the whole, spooky environment. I just really like the history there. I think when we were in the UK in 2015, we went to a graveyard and they spent like half an hour digging moss and dirt out of a gravestone so you could read the name again. And I think it was from like the early 1900s that this gravestone was buried. Yeah, I just really like the whole history of people. Yeah. Would you rather go to a Halloween party or go trick-or-treating? I'd rather go trick-or-treating because I'm not a party type person. I don't like parties. I'm not an overly social human being. So I'd rather go trick-or-treating and interact with people only when needed. And go with some close friends, than have to socialize for like an entire night at a party. You're in a horror movie. Are you the final survivor, the first to die, the comic relief, the skeptic, the smart one, or the killer? I'd like to say I'd be the smart one, because I have a lot of general knowledge on having watched a lot of how people act in them. You generally sit there and you go, don't do that, why are you doing that? So I'd like to think I'd be the smart one, but with my clumsiness, the likelihood of me like tripping and falling onto the killer's knife without them actually having to stab me and dying is very high, so I'd probably be the first to die in all reality. But if my clumsiness didn't like cause an issue, I'd probably be the smart one, but I am very likely to just trip and fall onto a knife the killer's not even holding and die. Yeah. Do you have to watch something happy after watching a horror movie so you can sleep? No. We did a horror movie night one year, for my friend's birthday. We watched a horrendous movie. It's a kids movie as well. It's the only movie that scared me in the last, like, 4 years. It's called Holes. It's about a jester. It's really creepy. We watched that first, and I was like, okay, we need to watch something else because I'm not sleeping on that fucking jester. We watched Nightmare on Elm Street right afterwards, and I fell asleep straight away. So I wouldn't say necessarily, like, general horror movies. But there's particular things, if they're in a horror movie, I'm just like, nope, need to get that image out of my mind. But I could easily just watch another horror movie and then have that image out of my mind. Whilst watching scary movies, are you the person who yells at the characters, the person with their eyes covered the whole time, or the person who falls asleep? I'm the person who yells at the TV, being like, why are you doing that? What is wrong with you? Sometimes I fall asleep in horror movies. If I'm really bored and the horror movie isn't that interesting, I'm gonna fall asleep during it. I'm gonna fall asleep in any movie that's boring. I find watching a movie to fall asleep is a very, very easy thing to do. Favorite scary book? There was a book that I read in like year 9, and my entire friend group read it, and it was called While the Others Sleep, and it's honestly one of the best books I've ever read, but it mysteriously went missing from the library because someone checked it out. We didn't know who checked it out, and we never found it again. And it was a really good book. And we don't know where it went. And I've never seen it in any bookstore either, but it was a really good book. So if you can find a book called While the Others Sleep, it's about a kid who's low-key, like, he's battling insomnia and he gets sent to like a hospital asylum type thing. And you find out he's not exactly there for the insomnia, and it's really good. And the characters in it, you know, one of the characters you absolutely hate, and then by the end of the book you're like, I love you. But yeah, it's a really good book. How old were you when you saw your first horror movie? I don't actually know. I think I watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street when I was like 11, maybe. Yeah, probably about there. I considered Monster House a fucking horror movie because that still scares me. I don't understand that as a kid's movie. I mean, we watched that when I was like 8 or 9 as well. What was your first Halloween costume? I went as a cat for like the first 5 years of my life for no apparent reason because I had a cat onesie. And that was literally the only reason. So yeah, that was a thing for like the first 5 years of my life. If you could have a spooky Halloween pet, black cat, owl, bat, rat, wolf, etc., what would you pick? I'd love to have an owl. I fucking love owls. But I also really want a cat. But I think I could get like any sort of cat and be happy, but I'd love an owl. Like, a lot. So yeah, that's all the questions in the tag. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. It was a little more topical for the season. If you did enjoy this, leave a like, comment some of your answers down there below, answer one of the questions, whatever one you want. Also leave me video suggestions, ideas, because I'm gonna run out of ideas very soon. I will leave all of my social media links down in the description box below, so if you haven't already, go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. So I will see you guys in the next video. Stay you, stay awesome, never be afraid to be yourself, and don't forget to smile.